Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am Khalid Iqbal from Government Municipal College Faisalabad. The topic of my today's lecture is why we study world economic history. In today's world, we measure everything in terms of money, welfare, and happiness. Our today's world is ruled by economics, and economics is at the heart of debate. Economists determine our fate if they have deeper knowledge, sophisticated knowledge, and experience of years, then they can be the fortune changers. And all these qualities they can acquire from the history, because studying the history they acquire the profound knowledge, rationale of many genius, and experience of the thousand of years. History means the study of events and record of the human experience. Economics means study of the patterns. So in economic history we look at an event of economic process that in turn and patterns and has its implications. So from the world economic history we learn such fundamentals on which the empires rise, nations destroy, and institutions which give rise to the trade and stimulus which brings the prosperity. So in the world economic history we study the economic events, their causes, and their implications. In world economic history we learn that how the genius people wrestled with the emerging events. Professor J. M. Keynes, in his famous book The End of Laissez Faire, said the history of the opinion is a necessary and preliminary to the emancipation of the mind. A famous French scholar, César, said that a philosopher is a man who walks in dark but by a torch, and he acts in reflection. Our economic history is not smooth. It is marked with uneven events, prosperity, and this made economic performances. There were booms and there were depressions. We learn if the history is delightful or dismaying. In both cases, we learn what were the causes of the delightful events and which were the causes of dismaying and depressing events. We learn history and we learn the experience of thousands of years. There were progress and there were regress. In both, there were causes, there were wrong turns, there were detours. So, history has been never smooth, and the human has always faced the new challenges. In this complicated world, we have different challenges, as these challenges were thousands of years ago. Our economic history is expanded from Adam Smith to Abhijit Banerjee via Marshall, J.M. Keynes, Marx, Friedman, Phillips, and Amartya Sen. Aristotle was genius, and he survived in the era of poverty and slavery. Now there is no slavery, but we can learn from the genius of the Aristotle, because still some people are slave to the nature. So we can find some insight and resonance from the Aristotle. So economic history is marked with different events which are delightful, which are prosperous, and which are marked with diseases and thousands of the deaths. So we learn from the history. Like we can say that if there is no Plato, there would be no Aristotle. If there is no Ricardo, there would be no Marx. So, economic history is still a continuous process, and it is still a story of existence. So, from the history, we learn that events that occur thousands of years, still the events occurring have different natures. Suppose that there is a pandemic of COVID-19, but still we should go back into history and we should study the forgotten knowledge, that how thousands of years the people that faced the black magic and how they conquered it and how they eradicated this disease. We learn from the past events. So if we do not learn from the past events, we cannot live in a prosperous past and a safe future. We say that in the past history there were events that led to the destruction. So we can avoid those decisions that led to the destruction, and if we take those decisions that were beneficial to the humanity, but their nature, the problem of nature of the problem has changed, but we can get insight from those decisions. Though in the present era, it is acknowledged that economics is an empirical science, and as mathematical techniques and mathematics develops, economics does so. But Professor Kenneth Boulding has said that still we can get insight from the Adam Smith because insight cannot be denied. We cannot ignore the past history of economic events. Definitely, the nature of the emerging events is different. The human behavior is a little bit different because human behavior is unpredictable and it cannot be perceived as because events their psychology and the environmental factors, there are so many things that affect the human behavior, but still we can get insight from the previous economists. So history is a process of progress and regress, and this process is still on. So we can say, in the words of Donald Rumsfeld, that future is full of unknowns. So we are still unaware of the future events. So we should learn the economic history. From this we can get insight, we can get experience of the thousand of years, we can uh, get the uh, wrong decisions and which led to the destruction, and we can avoid such decisions for the welfare of humanity. So economic history has a very pivotal role. So in this empirical age of economics, we cannot deny the importance of world economic history. So we can learn insight and we can take decisions for the unknown future. Thank you very much.